I thought I'd talk about a story I read this morning about groomers in the UK coming to schools and radicalizing the kids into being, well, just horrible, really. I mean, like, just bullying kids to own the conservatives. Great. That's a worthwhile cause. And we'll start this off with a little shill, of course, this being Abigail Shrier's irreversible damage that Harry did, because we're going to talk about other kinds of damage that groomers do. But otherwise, let's get into it. So let's start off with the first article here. So this is the headline. Girl driven out of school for questioning trans ideology.
So you're not allowed to question the things that are put in front of you now. Part of learning, shouldn't part of learning be questioning the things so you understand them better?
No.
No?
You should just listen and believe.
Right. Even in church, you're allowed to ask questions.
Debate, Bible study.
Yeah.
You know? No, not in, well, this regard. That's for sure. That's not learning. You need to be indoctrinated instead. A girl who argued that biological sex is real. I love it. Yeah, that's the heretical opinion. It is real. After a talk about transphobia, felt forced to leave her school after pupils hounded her for challenging the views of a visiting speaker.
This is interesting because I've heard this from like my mate Darius. Well, I probably shouldn't say the name. My mate's called something else.
The D-man.
His niece was getting bullied at school, but instead of calling her, like when I was at school, like there'd be homophobic abuse. Now it's inverted, and you're sort of the bullies accuse you of homophobia.
You're not even gay, loser.
Yeah.
So, yeah, similar situation here, I suppose. They say she was treated like a heretic for questioning a politician's assertions about sex. Sorry, my English is terrible. A teacher at the school said a female member of the House of Lords visited the private girls' school, a Stonewall diversity champion, to talk about transphobia in Parliament. So, member of the House of Lords, who is a signed-up Stonewall, I don't know, comrade, decided to turn up at this all-girls school and teach them about transphobia. How did that go? The girl told The Times the language she was using was implying critical theory took precedence over biological reality in defining women, she said. When I questioned that, she said it wasn't an issue of semantics. She said trans people don't have basic human rights in this country. Afterwards, I spoke to her and said, I'm sorry if I came across as rude.
But trans people have got equal rights in this country. Everyone's got equal rights under the law.
Yeah. So it's nonsense. But then again, we're dealing with someone who's a representative of Stonewall turning up at the school. So yeah, they're going to be deluded.
Yeah. But the Stonewall Diversity Champion Scheme is basically a sort of mafia shakedown. So they go, you've got to get these
the Rainbow Mafia.
These badges that say you've got the right opinions. So you pay Stonewall for that protection. So you can then advertise for jobs in the Guardian and stuff like that.
Don't worry, I'm a gay ally. So we only have allies in war. What war are you fighting? So
they're fighting against all the vicious. They're fighting for equal rights. One day they're going to have equal rights under the law. I mean, they've already got it, but one day.
Well, maybe all the heteros will be dead, and then they'll all be equal. I don't know. Maybe that's the idea. But they say the pair parted amicably. The girl said, but on returning to the sixth form, she was surrounded by up to 60 girls who shouted, screamed, swore, and spat at her.
That's pretty hot.
No. She escaped and said she collapsed, unable to breathe properly. So that's the messed up thing here. Because a dunce comes to school who's a member of the House of Lords and is just like, did you know that we don't have equal rights? And you're just like, shut up, idiot. Yes, we do. And then they have the debate. They pair amicably because the adult is apparently not going to cause an incident with a child. And instead what happens is that the all-girls school, the girls there, become the radicalized party. They become the Red Guards who will then beat up or at least bully this girl here into the point that she's, no longer allowed to be part of the school.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I mean, I really am concerned about the idea of this happening on a mass scale because it's bad enough when they turn up and tell a kid nonsense and the kid thinks, some stupid things and then gets corrected and then lives in reality with the rest of us. And but the idea that you're going to teach the kids that transphobia bad, anyone who's transphobic must be, I don't know, ostracized from society, and then the kids go and do it for you.
Yeah.
No. This is on the par with the extremist Christians turning up and saying that if there's a gay kid in the school, beat him.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about this.
It's the same methodology.
Absolutely. So they say, a teacher at the school said, we know how these views are being silenced in the adult world, though high-profile legal cases and the bullying and defamation of celebrities, such as J.K. Rowling, this is also happening in schools. Writing for the website Transgender Trend, he said, the teacher, quote, there was a time when the school invited in Christian and other religious speakers to address moral and ethical issues and to provide food for thought and contemplation. It was usually the practice to follow these up with a Q&A session during which students could share their own feelings and opinions on the issues, and even disagree if they wanted to.
And ask questions.
Ooh. Well, the privileged world of the past in which you could disagree with a speaker and everyone got on with their lives.
Yeah, or they'd explain, why they thought they were right and like why you're wrong in your opinion. You ask questions, if you disagree, you can't, like if something's just an ideology that's handed down that you've got to learn like rote scripture. And this shows the weakness of critical race theory, transgender ideology and all this stuff is you're not allowed to question it. Questions are seen as criticism. And because it crumbles. It crumbles under any questioning. There's so many dichotomies. That's why, the most basic questions like, what is a woman? They can't answer. I mean, this is an all-girls school. How do they know?
I don't know what the criteria is for getting in. I think actually transgender boys were allowed in for a period until the government stepped in and went, nope,
right,
not doing that. But yeah, apparently in the past you were able to question these things. Now, not so much, even though they used to invite a lot of Christians, they say. It was the similarity of transgender ideology to religious fundamentalism that alerted me to the danger of what is going on in our school over the last few years, the teacher added. Absolutely. I mean, I genuinely, this is horrible. I mean, the fact that you're radicalizing these kids into doing what they're doing and bullying a kid to the point that she has to leave the school. I mean, it's absurd. He said that the group of sixth formers arrived in an animated state after the speaker's visit, with a significant group of girls verbally laying into one particular 18-year-old who had the audacity to question the position.
Right. So these are like, I was thinking they were going to be like 12 or something. No, this is like 18-year-olds.
This is sixth formers, and they're now bullying this other kid because, well, how dare she question the faith, essentially. And I actually remember some of this when I was a kid. I was at an all-girls school where I had some friends, and I remember after one day, they had someone come in. I probably was Stonewall, I have no idea. And they all had these stickers on about homophobia and racism and stuff. Yeah. I was just like, the hell? What's all this? We had a guest speaker. We didn't have any at my school, so boo-hoo. But they had someone come in and just lecture them about this stuff, and then it's all they could talk about for a couple of days. And I remember thinking at the time, like, something's happened to you. Like, this isn't normal. Someone's come in and indoctrinated you, essentially.
Yeah.
Because they weren't making any sense either. Like, they were saying that men can't be raped, for example. Literally can't happen.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, and so forth. Legally, it's another matter.
Oh,
however,
legally, actually, yeah.
They were saying physically it can't be done. I was just like,
shut up. That's. But I mean, obviously, man on man, male on male.
Also, just female on male can also happen. There was a case in Russia that was very funny.
Tell me what happened to you, Callum.
No, there was a guy in Russia who broke into a house to burgle it, and it was an old lady. Knocked him the hell out, tied him up, and then, abused him. And then it went to court, and the court just went, don't care, and didn't give her any sentence.
Right.
Just sentenced him for burglary.
Yeah, quite right, instead of her for buggery. But
No.
I think under the law,
Under British law,
there has to be penetration.
Yeah, but this wasn't the argument. I remember them talking about how you can't be racist to white people as well. And other such left-wing nonsense.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can see how this happens. They end off here, though, saying, staff were initially supportive of the child who was bullied, but, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we were supportive of anti-bullying, but after complaints from the other sixth formers, we ended up apologizing for not maintaining a safe space in the sixth form. The safe space for the ideological radicals who were bullying the child, not the kid here, who can go and F herself. I mean, it's just horrible to read, frankly, and the fact that it's going on in the UK is even more bitter because it's where I live. But I think we'll go now to the land of the free, home of the brave.
Oh, yeah.
Not the United States.
Hopefully it's going to be one of those states, red states.
It's going to be Florida, because of course it is.
So nothing bad could happen there.
No, this is something a friend of mine sent me. It's just note what has been taking place, which is the opposite, which is they're actually dealing with their grooming problem. This one more mild than a bunch of kids bullying one of the others. However, it's starting to have an effect.
I heard about this.
Cape Coral middle school teacher fired over discussion of sexual orientation and pride flags. So the Cape Coral art teacher was let go after discussing LGBTQ plus topics in the classroom. Clue is in the name, art teacher. We're here to talk about art, teach the kids how to make paper mache willies.
Yeah.
This is all they end up doing, really. Or I ended up making like a letter C out of cardboard, and that was it. So I have no artistic talent. But that's not what happened in this classroom. Casey Scott, a first-year art teacher at Trafalgar Middle School, was released from her probationary contract on April 18th following a complaint that she had been teaching lessons about different flags as they related to gender and sexuality. Lee County Schools spokesperson, Rob Spicker, told News Press that she was released for not following the state-mandated curriculum.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah,
Like-
that kind of makes sense.
You're here to do this, yeah, but I want to talk about pansexuality.
Yeah.
You're here to do this. Like, teach the kids the thing you're paid to teach them.
I saw people speaking up for her on Twitter, saying like one of the pupils had asked her a question about her sexual, her private life. And so she answered. It's like, well, you just don't answer. You say, that's an inappropriate question. I'm here to teach you art, not talk about my fanny or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
One of the kids said, "Do you like pegging?" And she had to answer. I mean,
Yeah.
No, you don't. Like,
You don't. Like, if I'd had, when I was at school, if I'd asked, oh, miss, do you like felching? Like, she wouldn't have been sat me down. Whoa, stop the maths class. Stop the maths class. Let's get some German pornos on. You know what I mean? No, you just, you say, that's an inappropriate question, Leo. And then stop asking me every time I'm in this class.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
The closest I ever got to that was there was a teacher. I'm going to change his name to Mr. Fun because I won't say his real name.
Mr. Fun.
Yeah, I was trying to rhyme it with his real
Korean.
name and it came out weirder. Anyway, but I remember the closest we ever got to ever discussing sex in the classroom is it was a history class, and one of my mates went, "Can we watch Masturbator and Commander?" Of course, making fun of the name, and immediately he just got like detention. So. But you don't have these conversations in a normal classroom. Apparently in America, well, it does. So the firing came 3 weeks after Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Parental Rights and Education Bill into law on March 28th, which prohibits teachers from providing classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity to K3 students and up to higher grade levels in a manner that is not age appropriate.
And when they say K3, I take it that's like 7-year-olds or something.
I can never
Like,
remember.
it'll be
The
the
American
third year.
system's weird.
Yeah. Why don't they just put the ages of the kids instead of this weird, like, I don't want to learn I don't want to learn weird Cyrillic alphabet.
We also do the same thing, though. Like, year 7 is not 7-year-olds in this country, which I also just don't like.
Yeah.
I think we should just simplify it.
Put the age of the kids.
Yeah. Apparently in this classroom, there was as young as 11. So you got the 11-year-old sat there as the teacher for art class, tells them about her sex life. And
Right.
What the hell are we doing here?
Art teacher tells students she is pansexual, records show.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, quote, according to the records by the news press, Scott told the school investigators that she was inspired to come out to her students. Why? Why? You didn't have to.
Also, pansexual isn't it's not something you can come out about.
It doesn't-
It's like, hey, guess what? I'm a total whorebag. You know what I mean? That's not you shouldn't get a flag for that.
I still hate
That's
the term.
that's not a defined. That's just like anything.
She decided to...
I'll do anything with anyone. I mean, that's basically Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile is the only pure pansexual because he get corpses, everything.
Well, that's the thing. What does pansexual actually mean? Because surely, if you're taking it in the literal Latin term, it would mean corpses included.
Yeah.
I don't know, but whatever. So she said she decided to become inspired and tell the 11-year-olds about her pansexuality and about various pride flags after she came out to her family as pansexual the day prior. It's okay. I imagine her family were also just like, don't care. We're not interested. But just why? Why did you feel the need after telling your family to be like, I'm going to go into school and tell the kiddos? I mean, do you ever watch South Park, Mr. Garrison?
Yeah.
And in the later seasons where he is exploring his homosexuality, and he'll come into the classroom and tell the kids about the dates he's had and how he doesn't like Rick and Rick's an asshole and stuff like this. And all the kids are sat there just being like,
Can we learn some maths, please?
please, Mr. Garrison, like I'm done with this. That's all I've got in mind reading this. So, quote,
South Park is very problematic.
very ahead of the curve. Quote, I wanted to show these kids that it's better to be open about ourselves than to hide it away, Scott wrote in a statement to the school district. Listen, kids, become a queer activist.
It's fine to be open about it when you're...
It's appropriate?
Yeah, it's appropriate. Like, these kids are way below the age of consent. They shouldn't be having, like, sexual stuff forced them. If they do have questions about all this kind of stuff, fine, there's plenty of resources. You've got school counsellor, you've got people who are trained in this kind of stuff to deal with it.
A sex education lesson.
Yeah, sex education lessons. So people who are trained, there's a curriculum to follow to make sure that it's done in the right way. And obviously, that's not going to be some sort of Christian homophobic training because it's in a public school.
No gays.
Yeah, it's going to be all the flags and
Gays
everything.
aren't
anyway.
real.
So you don't need to worry. But like, it's got to be done at an appropriate time for obvious reasons. You can't have schools, become this place where anybody wants to exploit the system to sort of indoctrinate children or abuse their relationship with children, get close to children. Because the children, bear in mind, the parents are handing over their kids. It's a position of trust. You're entrusted to look after these kids, not abuse them, not psychologically damage them or anything something like that. So you can't then, you've got to respect those boundaries. If kids have got questions, there's counsellors, there's parents, there's the internet, there's older cousins. You know what I mean?
I got told apparently back in the ye old days, you go out into the woods and find porn mags. Is that a real thing?
That was a real thing. They used to porn mags.
Who was leaving them there?
They used to just appear in bushes in laybys, like some sort of biblical message.
Well, what's happening? Like the truck driver's gone, oh, I'm done with this, and just throws it out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, basically.
Or
get handed down through, through the annals of history. Literally the annals.
Moving on. School officials received a complaint from a parent the same day of her lesson, explaining that her child had come home and reported that Scott encouraged discussion of pride flags with them, their own sexuality, and asked the class to create their own pride flags, records show. Multiple student statements confirmed that the students were encouraged by Scott to create pride flags or any other kind of flag they felt represented them. Super straight, presumably not accepted. The statements also show that Scott told students she was pansexual after displaying a pansexual pride flag. So I love that. She's like, come prepared. Like, presumably she's coming with a prop. Or it was loaded up on screen and be like, hey, look at this. And it's just like, what are you doing? You're an art teacher. Unless this is, I don't know, art of Roe v. Wade protest, but we'll get back to that. She also urged the students not to be afraid to go to her if they ever needed to talk about their own identities, and told school officials that many of her students had been coming out to her. Wonder about that, because it seems to happening, which is that one teacher makes it a bit of a fad, and then a bunch of the kids become bisexual until they realise they're not.
There's this is like a social you get these social trends, social not hysteria, but what's it called? Social contagion. That is the word for it. Social contagion, where things catch on. You see it with everything, with Tamagotchis, with Pokemon, with mullets, with double denim, with
being bisexual,
being a fan of Bros, being a fan of the Spice Girls.
Continued, Scott expressed that she had not received adequate training that would have informed her about what she was allowed or not to say about gender and sexuality in the classroom. This is her defense, that, I wasn't trained, that I can't tell the 11-year-olds about my pansexual
You're
life.
trained to teach art. That is not a sign that you shouldn't be teaching the sex education class.
But it's so simple. It's just like, common knowledge would have said none. Like, don't talk to the kids about sexuality. It's pretty simple.
Is there
it's
a
just
picture
like,
of her? Is
I
she
wasn't
fit?
trained. We'll get to that in a minute. One student wrote
Is she fit, though? Can you just tell us now?
No. They were present in the classroom while Scott was making pride flags, but Scott does not make anybody do that if they do not want to. I doubt that, frankly. Another student wrote that Scott told...
I just want to learn some art. You're making a pride flag.
I want to paint a Picasso. No, you don't. Another student wrote that Scott told the class that she was coming out as pansexual and wrote, I didn't really know what it meant until she started getting into detail. I don't want to know the detail. Some students said that her coming out felt uncomfortable and weird. My heart goes out to those kids. Yes, it would be. Scott also went on to explain how she has a husband and a girlfriend. The student said that, I thought it was a little weird because she is telling this to a class of 6th and 7th graders and all that. Another great quote from the kids who were just what? What are we doing this for? Yeah. A student then wrote that Scott told them to follow her on her TikTok, where the student later saw a video of Scott coming out as pansexual. Of course she did.
Yeah.
His lips of TikTok come to life.
Oh, God.
I'm pansexual. Paint the flags, kiddos. Also, follow me on TikTok.
I'm pretty sure, TikTok's like a Chinese company. I'm pretty sure it's designed by China to undermine the West.
Destroy the West.
Yeah, to destroy the West.
Probably true.
Because they can't use nuclear weapons, so they're going to use TikTok videos instead.
High-level psyops instead. Yeah. If we go to the next one, we can see the Gay Times, who bring us an image of the teacher in question here. So there you are, Leo.
Well,
Something you'd ask.
Looks all right.
Okay. That's for you. And if we move forward, we can then go to the next one, which is the child hero in all of this debate as well. So this is an individual in Florida who's a kid who decided that he would become the youngest public plaintiff in the Don't Say Gay lawsuit, the anti-groomer bill. I am a Florida high school student's first openly gay class president. I am being silenced and I need your help. Right, okay. Number one, don't care that you're gay. No one does. Literally, the law doesn't care. None of the institutions care. In fact, none of the corporations care. Nobody does. Which is what brings me to the question of why the hell are you doing this? Like, seriously, the individual. Why the hell is he bothering to do this? Why is he wasting his life?
What's he doing?
Well, he's out there campaigning for gay rights, which
Is this a student? Or
this is a student.
Right.
Who organised a walkout. A few days ago, my principal called me into his office and informed me that if I used my graduation speech to refer to my activism or role as a plaintiff in the lawsuit, the school administration had a signal to cut off my microphone, end my speech, and halt the ceremony. Oh no. Yeah, it's because your graduation isn't a political platform to give a speech.
Yeah, but I don't see the problem in I mean, you don't just talk about it in your graduation speech. I don't know what a graduation speech is, but this seems like heavy-handed.
No, but it's the case of so say for example in the UK, anti-white discrimination is the case. Like it happens in the civil service. We've gone through it previously. In comedy as well.
Yeah.
Nick told me about that.
The only place I'm safe is on Lotus eaters.
It's the one place a white man can be tolerated. Ironically, though, Nick told me apparently there was some comedy gig that just said we don't have white men.
Yeah, he got Nick Dixon got dropped from a gig. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
But it's also,
I had an email today from Comedy Booker saying we've got a huge increase in demand for LGBTQ acts. So if you're LGBTQ, if you know any comedians that are LGBTQ, because we can't fill all these spots. So
question from who?
I emailed back. Well, because everybody's trying to get an LGBTQ.
But that's
they want an LGBTQ.
The audience aren't putting pieces of paper in a suggestions box en masse, being like, "Well, it was very funny, but he wasn't gay."
Yeah, well, nobody's writing to advertisers saying like, "Oh, look, when I look at adverts for oven chips, or frozen peas or whatever, everybody's got to be
queer. I'm not buying it.
Like a mixed race family." Non-binary in a wheelchair, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But advertisers are still doing it because that's the fashion at the moment. But I replied to this comedy booker saying I'm one of the few genderqueer non-binary acts on the circuit because I am.
You also make up the women on screen for GB News as well.
Yeah.
It's another role. But getting back to the point. So the point being here for me, which is it's your graduation speech. So, for example, in the UK, we have anti-white discrimination. It's prevalent throughout our society for God knows what reason. And if I went up to a graduation speech and started just talking about it, it would be inappropriate. It's not the forum for a political discussion. It's to get your bit of paper and talk about what you've done. It's not for you to then mouth off about, here's my political viewpoint. And imagine doing that for every single kid who wants to talk to you about communism or neoclassical liberalism or, it's just not the place for it. So I side with the school in this case, which is just like, mate, do what you want. It's a free country, whatever, just not at the school speech. But this is his example of the highest level of oppression he faces in his life for doing what he does. And that's because there isn't any. Really? I mean, compare that to being, as you say, having jobs denied to you for being white in the comedy world or in the civil service.
Yeah.
That's actual oppression you can point to. Systemic as well, because it's in the system.
Yeah, it's systemic.
Yeah. Whereas this individual is like, well, I can't give a political speech at my graduation. Boo-hoo. I'm sorry, this is the lowest rung of oppression I've ever heard. And this is you saying that this is unbearable to live in. And if we go to the next one, there's a reason why I also dwell on this, which is because you can see it in the fact that these people just have nothing really. I mean, check out this individual. Like, here he is. Human rights are not debatable. Abortion is a human right. # Roe v. Wade. Because, I don't know, being an LGBTQ plus representative also means you have to argue for killing babies because it all goes the same, I guess.
Abortion can't be a human right. A human right can't be something that imposes a burden of labour on someone else.
No. Murder is a human right.
I mean...
Unironically, we went through the other day. There's the lady, The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
She wrote an article and she argues in there that because it doesn't have a soul and she doesn't believe in souls because she's not a Christian, therefore it should be okay to get an abortion because you're not killing anything with a soul. And if you try to make sure she can't, you're infringing her right to her religious beliefs. So her religious beliefs are literally, we can kill anything that doesn't have a soul.
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar.
I think a lot of the then that's the argument behind it being okay to kill infidels. But
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean under abortion laws. So say in the UK, abortion you can't get any reason abortion after 12 weeks. So 12 weeks is the limit. So if you get pregnant accidentally and you want to get it aborted, it's only up to 12 weeks that you can do it. But then there's other reasons, like if there's risk to harm, if there's something wrong with the child, some sort of
this only ever
condition.
makes up less than 1%.
Yeah, and it's the ages have actually it's up until it's viable, but obviously that's been coming down, and also the other. So that's bringing down the age. It used to be 28 weeks, I think, and now it's down to 24 or maybe even 20 weeks that a baby can survive outside the womb. And from the other side, the thing sort of pulling the desire to make abortions.
I didn't
bring the
really want to
age
get
down.
into a big abortion debate.
Yeah, but it's the fact that you can diagnose things much earlier.
It wasn't really my point. I'll end this because I'm over time and I'm eating
Yeah,
yours.
but if you got a woman up the duff, I bet you'd be like, oh shit. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but like, I bet if you needed one, you'd suddenly be like, oh wow, I think abortion should be accessible.
I've said previously, like, I don't know where the line is on this. Like,
Right.
I've spoken about this. It's not really my thing, but I can tell definitely that someone who says up until birth, as the left is saying in the United States currently.
Yeah, which is just, and they're also
That is
the way
just
they
murder.
celebrate it and like have cakes, you know.
But anyway,
Anyway,
let's not have the
don't get
abortion
in this.
debate then. My point was simply that this individual, as an activist for LGBTQ rights, clearly doesn't have enough going on or oppression going on in his life.
Yeah.
But evidenced by the fact that he just does anything else leftist as well. And that's the point, which is that Florida, land of the free, home of the brave, is actually getting rid of the groomers from the schools, whereas in the UK, certainly need to follow their suit. Otherwise, we're going to have more kids getting bullied out of the classroom and out of the school, it seems. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Epoch series, The Bodas, this one on the Strategicon of Maurice. And if you'd like to see more, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.